So this morning in the lesson I told you about the trip we're going on next Tuesday. Who remembers where we're going?
Oh.
Put your hand up if you can remember the name. Well done, George.
The relationship between dyslexic learner and teacher is one that relies on considerable trust and understanding. A class of dyslexic learners, however small, is likely to contain not just a range of abilities, but also pupils who may all learn in different ways. For the teacher, a process of questioning at each stage of each lesson is vital to ensure that every learner is progressing.
Now, temperature is what? What is temperature? When we're measuring the temperature, what is it? Annabelle?
Is temperature when you're hot and cold, like how hot and cold?
That's it, hot and cold, thank you. So we know about temperature is measuring hot and cold. We need to check understanding throughout. There's no point continuing with a topic if the students haven't grasped the keywords in the first place. With this particular lesson, I used the video to introduce some of the words initially, like anemometer, which is hard to say, let alone to understand if you've not come across it before. Thermometer was another word I really wanted to make sure they understood, and temperature. These are key words for the topic. I think it's important, first of all, to establish what their knowledge is almost immediately, so we don't go over the things they already know. And it's important to make sure they all share the same basic knowledge before moving on.
Tell me what it is that we are going to be checking when we're writing.
Capital letters and full stops.
Good boy. So we need to...
The accuracy, confidence and speed of the answers enable the teacher to decide how and when to move forward.
Without that questioning, obviously I can't then plan the next part of the unit without knowing sort of where they're at and what they've got from what we've been doing. I can't know how to help them go forward. So I'm looking for their answers to tell me, well, do I need to do a little bit more work on, you know, what we're looking for in a story opening, or do I need to do a little bit more work on how we construct a sentence? So I'm gauging from their answers where I need to pitch the next part of the teaching.
What sort of questions would you be asking about the story, about what's going on? B?
Whether it's at the end or in the middle, whether there's background to the story or it's the climax.
At every stage, the questioning should be gentle and encouraging, not confrontational.
In mainstream schools, we're quite often told that pace is really good. Now, the faster the lesson, the more rapid the learning, the greater the challenge. And quite often teachers are told, like, you've got to ask lots of probing questions. And of course, if you've got children who have got poor working memory or who lack confidence, that can be really counterproductive. So the way that you ask the questions or the way that you tease out the answers might be a bit more gentle or might be a bit more subtle. And that will quite often depend on knowing the children themselves. Some might be fine at being the first person to answer a question in class. Others might hate being the first one, but will feel just a bit better if somebody else has gone before them. Sometimes putting a question up at the beginning of the class and saying, okay, we're going to be looking at this question over the course of this lesson, and then giving them 10 or 15 minutes while they're doing other things just to think about it and reflect on it, you then get a better answer.
The use of questioning to check understanding and progress need not be verbal. A traffic light system or use of happy or unhappy faces can be a less confrontational way of checking if a learner is understanding their work and is happy with their progress.
I find using the faces, they're able to self-appraise how they did in that section. They're able to think about their strengths and their weaknesses, and they're able to think about things that maybe didn't go so well or things that did go well. And in that sense, they're thinking about their own strengths and weaknesses and what the next steps that they need to take.
Okay. What did we find out about the First World War and life in the trenches when we were at the museum?
As learners progress towards exam level, questions can also be used to encourage pupils to expand their answers to the level of analysis expected by examiners.
What kind of language might they use, Archie?
Quite harsh because of the conditions they were under at the time.
Good. It's always really important with dyslexic students to actually check they understand what they mean. We also tend to use it to get them to draw out their answers. So again, when you're listening to some of their answers in that particular lesson, there were things like, oh, it was harsh. Well, what does that mean? What does that look like? You know, let's elaborate on that. Because again, we're talking about students that struggle to get stuff written down. So I think if they give a short answer, they've done it. Okay, but actually what they need to be doing, and particularly in a subject like history, is developing that extended writing. And actually we need to sort of use the talk and the discussion and the questioning to draw out a better answer from them, a more detailed answer.
Experienced SPLD teachers say the use of questions to check understanding is a skill that develops naturally and very quickly becomes an automatic part of their relationship with learners.
I think that's very much an automatic thing now, particularly working with students with the sort of special needs that we have here. They are very, you check every word to make sure that they've understood it. And sometimes more simple ones, you can often tell through blank looks, although some of our students don't like to reveal when they're unsure. So it's worth just checking even words that I think they should know, just to make sure they absolutely do. There is definitely a rainforest type zone, yes, a tropical zone. All right, well done everybody.
So to recap some of the key points of using questions to check understanding. Check that all learners understand each stage of learning before moving to the next one.
Always check that new words or phrases have been understood.
Be gentle and encouraging, not confrontational. Use questions to get learners to expand their answers.